My name is Daniel Carter. I'm 32 years old. And for most of my life, my family had only one word for me. Useless. They didn't whisper it behind my back. They said it openly, at dinner tables, at family gatherings, even in front of strangers. Like it was a fact. Like it was my identity. Where it all began. I grew up in a quiet middle-class neighborhood in Ohio, the kind where every lawn was trimmed, every mailbox matched, and everyone knew everyone's business. From the outside, my family looked normal. Inside, it was different. My older brother Mark was the pride of the family, captain of his college debate team, MBA graduate, loud, confident, always talking about promotions and bonuses. My younger sister Emily was the golden child, cheerleader, social media darling, engaged to a successful real estate agent before she turned 26. And then there was me. The quiet one. The invisible one. The label they gave me. I wasn't bad in school. I wasn't lazy. I just didn't shine the way they wanted me to. I liked building things. Fixing broken electronics. Learning systems quietly, on my own. But my family didn't value silence. They valued applause. Dinner table judgments. Every Sunday dinner felt like a trial. Mark talked about his career. Emily talked about her lifestyle. And my parents listened, smiling, nodding, proud. Then someone would look at me. "So, Daniel," my father would say, cutting his steak, not even looking up. "What are you doing these days?" I'd answer honestly. "I'm working on a project." That was always enough to trigger it. My mother would sigh. "A project," she'd repeat, "still." Mark would laugh. "Let me guess," he'd say, "another idea that's going nowhere." And just like that, the verdict was delivered. Again. The word that stuck. The first time my father called me useless, I was 19. I dropped out of a business program I hated and switched to computer systems. He slammed his hand on the table. "You quit again," he said. "You don't finish anything. You're useless." No one defended me. Not my mother. Not my siblings. The word stuck like glue. Family reputation. At weddings. At birthdays. At holiday gatherings. I was introduced like this. "This is Daniel. He's still figuring things out." Which was family code for. "He's a failure." I learned to stay quiet. Not because I agreed, but because explaining myself never changed anything. What they didn't know. What they never asked. What they never cared to hear. Was what I was actually doing. Every night, after my warehouse shift, I went home and worked. Not on dreams. On skills. I taught myself enterprise software systems, automation workflows, contract logistics, and vendor integration. I wasn't chasing attention. I was building competence. Quietly. The job they mocked. When I landed a contract-based role with a mid-sized logistics firm, my family barely reacted. "It's temporary," Mark said. "Not a real career." My mother smiled politely. "At least it's something," she said. Something. That word hurt more than useless. The turning point no one saw coming. 3 years passed. Then 5. I stayed in the background. No flashy car. No big announcements. Just consistent work. Until one afternoon, everything changed. I received an email. Subject line. Confidential, executive contract attachment. I stared at the screen for a long time. Because my name was on it. Not as an employee. Not as a consultant. But as the primary contractor. Contract value. $12 million. The moment of silence. I didn't celebrate. I didn't call anyone. I just sat there, thinking about every dinner table laugh, every dismissive look, every time they said I was nothing. and how none of them had any idea what was about to happen. Why this story isn't about revenge. This story isn't about proving them wrong. It's about what happens when people underestimate silence. Because the contract wasn't luck. It was preparation, meeting opportunity. And the hardest part, my family was about to find out. Not from me, but from the place they respected most. A piece of paper with my name on it. The contract didn't change my life overnight. It changed how quiet I became. Because when you've spent years being dismissed, you learn something important. Never announce your wins too early. I signed the agreement 3 days later. Digitally. Silently. No champagne. No phone calls. No social media post. Just a confirmation email and a long exhale. What the contract really meant. The $12 million wasn't a paycheck. It was a 5-year systems integration contract. My responsibility. Design, automate, and secure a national logistics framework for a rapidly expanding retail chain. If it failed, I'd disappear quietly. If it worked, people would notice. The family invitation. The call came that same week. My mother. Daniel, she said, overly cheerful, we're having a family dinner on Saturday. You should come. I almost declined. But something told me not to. Not for revenge. For closure. Walking back into that house. The house smelled the same. Roast chicken. Garlic. Familiar judgment. Mark was already there, talking loudly about a possible promotion. Emily showed off her engagement ring, again. And then there was me. Daniel, my father said, you look tired. I smiled. I've been busy. Mark smirked. Busy doing what? I didn't answer. The old pattern repeats. Dinner unfolded exactly as expected. They talked. I listened. At one point, my uncle leaned over and asked, so, are you still hopping between jobs? Mark laughed before I could respond. He calls it consulting now, he said. Sounds better than unemployment. Everyone chuckled. I stayed calm. The name they didn't expect. Dessert arrived. Coffee was poured. That's when my father's phone buzzed. He frowned at the screen. Then frowned deeper. He stood up. Sorry, he said. This is work-related. He stepped into the hallway. I didn't move. But my heart rate changed. The conversation that shifted everything. 5 minutes later, he returned. Paler. Quiet. He sat down slowly. My mother noticed first. What's wrong? She asked. He looked at me. For the first time in years, really looked. Daniel, he said carefully, are you working with Northbridge Logistics? The room froze. Mark stopped chewing. Emily's smile vanished. Yes, I said. Why? The first crack in their reality. My father swallowed. They're one of our biggest partners, he said. They just sent an internal memo. My mother leaned forward. What memo? He hesitated. Then said it. They announced a new national integration lead. Silence. And the name, he continued, was yours. The laughter that didn't come. Mark laughed. Too loudly. That's impossible, he said. Daniel never led anything. I didn't respond. Because I didn't need to. My father reached for his phone again. Showed him the email. Mark's smile collapsed. The questions begin. How much is this contract? My mother asked. I didn't answer. My father did. $12 million. Emily dropped her fork. The shift. Suddenly, the room felt different. The jokes stopped. The assumptions cracked. My mother's voice softened. Daniel, why didn't you tell us? I looked at her. You never asked, I said. Mark's anger. Mark pushed back his chair. This doesn't make sense, he snapped. You always struggled. I met his eyes. I struggled with you, I said. Not the work. He had no response. What hurt the most? It wasn't the shock. It wasn't the disbelief. It was the realization on their faces. They didn't feel proud. They felt wrong. And they weren't ready for that. The night ends differently. I stood up. Thanks for dinner, I said calmly. No one stopped me. No one mocked me. No one laughed. As I walked out, my mother whispered, we didn't know. And for the first time, that wasn't my problem anymore. The contract goes public. 2 weeks later, the press release dropped. Industry blogs picked it up. LinkedIn exploded. My name became searchable. And suddenly, my phone started ringing. From people who never called before. But the hardest call was still coming. Because success doesn't erase history. It exposes it. And my family was about to face the consequences of every word they'd ever used against me. Success doesn't arrive loudly. It settles in quietly and waits to see who treats it with respect. When my name became public, the press release went live on a Monday morning. By noon, my inbox was full. Industry leaders, former managers, people who once ignored my emails, all suddenly interested. Not in me, but in what my name now represented. The article my family couldn't ignore. 3 days later, an industry blog published a feature. The silent architect behind Northbridge's $12 M integration strategy. There was my photo, my name, my background. No exaggeration. No drama. Just facts. And facts are harder to argue with than opinions. The call from my mother. She called that evening. Her voice was different. Careful. Daniel, she said, we read the article. I didn't respond right away. She continued. We didn't realize how serious your work was. I smiled faintly. You never wanted to, I said. Silence. My father's regret. He asked to meet. Just the two of us. We sat at a quiet cafe. Not the loud family table where judgment lived. I was wrong, he said. Not emotional. Not dramatic. Just honest. I measured success by noise, he admitted. You built something without making any. That was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever hear. And it was enough. Mark's world starts to crack. Mark didn't congratulate me. He avoided me. Because my success didn't elevate him. It exposed him. 2 months later, his company restructured. His department was cut. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. For years, he'd called me unstable. Now, he was the one asking questions. The conversation we never had. He finally messaged me. Can we talk? We met. No tension. No anger. He looked tired. I don't understand how you did it, he said. I answered honestly. I stopped trying to impress you. That ended the conversation. Emily's shift. My sister was kinder. Awkward, but kind. She asked about my work. Listened. Really listened. It felt unfamiliar. But genuine. What success didn't chain. I didn't move to a mansion. I didn't buy a supercar. I kept my apartment. My routine. My peace. Because money didn't fix the past. It just stopped me from being defined by it. The moment that meant the most. One evening, I received an email from a junior engineer. He wrote, I read your story. I've been called useless too. Thanks for proving quiet work still matters. I stared at the screen for a long time. That meant more than the contract. The family dinner, rewritten. Months later, we sat together again. Same table. Different energy. No jokes at my expense. No dismissive smiles. Just conversation. Respectful. Balanced. Earned. What I learned. Being called useless doesn't make you useless. Being ignored doesn't make you invisible. Sometimes, it just means you're building something people don't yet understand. The final truth. My name didn't change. My family didn't suddenly become perfect. But the narrative did. Because in the end, the loudest critics are often the quietest learners.